In national politics, the Republican National Committee has a new leader. Joe Gruters, a Florida state senator and longtime ally of President Donald Trump, was unanimously elected as the new RNC chair during the party's summer meeting in Atlanta. Gruters, who briefly served as the RNC's treasurer, takes over from Michael Whatley, who is stepping down to run for the U.S. Senate in the key battleground state of North Carolina. The move is being widely seen as cementing President Trump's complete control over the National Party Committee as it gears up for next year's challenging midterm elections. In an interview, Gruters stated, "This is the president's party. This is the president's vision, overall. The party fully embraces the president." With the party in power traditionally facing headwinds in midterm cycles, Gruters outlined a strategy focused on riding the president's popularity and legislative achievements. He emphasized, "We're going to ride the president all the way to victory in the midterms, and we are going to win big." His top priorities include ensuring election integrity and executing fundamentals like voter registration and turnout. Central to the RNC's midterm push is a sweeping domestic policy bill passed by Republican majorities in Congress this summer. The bill extends President Trump's signature 2017 tax cuts, eliminates taxes on tips and overtime pay, provides billions for border security, and restructures Medicaid, notably by introducing work requirements for many recipients. Democrats have heavily criticized the legislation, particularly the changes to social safety net programs, but Gruters sees the bill as a key piece of campaign ammunition for every Republican candidate. That legislative push is central to the Republican platform, but the Trump administration is also focusing on domestic policy through executive action, leading to friction with state and local governments. In Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker is strongly opposing a potential plan by the federal government to deploy the National Guard to Chicago to address crime. The governor stated that his office has received no official outreach from the federal government and has made no requests for assistance. He accused President Trump of attempting to manufacture a crisis and politicizing the military to distract from other issues. This follows a similar move where hundreds of federal agents and National Guard troops were deployed in Washington, D.C. According to reports, the Pentagon has been planning a military deployment to Chicago for weeks, which could involve mobilizing several thousand troops as soon as next month. Governor Pritzker insists there is no emergency that warrants such a federal intervention. His sentiment was echoed by Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, who said the plan is an attempt to create chaos for political power. Chicago's Mayor Brandon Johnson also condemned the potential deployment as uncoordinated, uncalled for, and unsound. The mayor argued that such a move could inflame tensions between residents and law enforcement, undermining recent progress. He cited city data showing that homicides, robberies, and shootings have all declined significantly over the past year, suggesting federal intervention is unnecessary and could be counterproductive. While federal and state leaders clash over policy in Illinois, a major political race is taking shape in Texas, setting the stage for future battles within the Republican Party. Senator Ted Cruz has officially endorsed Congressman Chip Roy in his bid to become the next Attorney General of Texas. The race for the state's top legal office is open after the current Attorney General, Ken Paxton, announced he will not seek re-election in 2026. Instead, Paxton is launching a primary challenge against incumbent U.S. Senator John Cornyn. In his endorsement, Senator Cruz praised Roy as a battle-tested warrior and a fierce defender of the Constitution, noting their long-standing alliance, which began when Roy served as Cruz's first chief of staff. Roy, a conservative who has represented Texas's 21st congressional district since 2019, announced his candidacy in a video, vowing to defend the state's legacy of liberty, freedom, and self-determination. He said he wants to take his experience from Congress and as a former federal prosecutor to fight for Texas from Texas. While Cruz's endorsement is a significant boost for Roy, he acknowledged that there are several other strong conservatives in the race, including state senators Joan Huffman and Mays Middleton, as well as former U.S. Assistant Attorney General Aaron Reitz, promising a competitive Republican primary. The funding and support for campaigns like Roy's often draw scrutiny, and a new report is putting a spotlight on the political spending of two of the nation's most powerful unions. According to research from the conservative watchdog group Defending Ed, the country's two largest teachers' unions have funneled nearly $50 million into left-wing political causes since 2022. The report alleges that the National Education Association, or NEA, and the American Federation of Teachers, the AFT, spent a combined $43.5 million to fund state and federal political action committees and other ideologically aligned entities. The list of recipients includes major left-wing philanthropic organizations like the Tides Network and the New Venture Fund, as well as think tanks such as the Center for American Progress. Significant funds also went to groups that directly support Democratic candidates, including the Democratic Governors Association and the party's House and Senate Majority PACs. The report's author argues that the spending shows the union's priorities are focused on advancing far-left politics and radical social justice issues, rather than on the education of children. This comes as both unions have reportedly seen a decline in membership following a Supreme Court ruling that struck down mandatory union dues for public sector employees. An expert on public sector unions cited in the report claimed this spending is just the tip of the iceberg, asserting that the NEA spends a far greater percentage of its budget on political contributions than on direct representational activities for its members. Neither the NEA nor the AFT responded to requests for comment on the report's findings. And finally, shifting our focus from the political landscape on Earth to the ongoing mission in orbit, NASA and SpaceX successfully launched a resupply mission to the International Space Station early this morning. A Falcon 9 rocket lifted off from Space Launch Complex 40 at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida at 2:45 a.m. Eastern Time. The rocket carried a Dragon cargo spacecraft, which is now on its way to the orbiting laboratory. This flight marks the 33rd commercial resupply mission for NASA carried out by SpaceX, a partnership that is vital for sustaining operations and research aboard the station. The Dragon capsule is loaded with several tons of critical supplies, including fresh food and provisions for the crew, new hardware and equipment for the station itself, and a host of new scientific experiments. These investigations span a wide range of disciplines, from biology and materials science to Earth observation, all designed to take advantage of the unique microgravity environment. The research conducted on the ISS not only helps scientists on Earth, but is also crucial for preparing for future long-duration human spaceflight missions to the Moon and Mars. The Dragon spacecraft will travel for a couple of days before performing an autonomous docking with the space station. After the crew unloads its cargo, the capsule will be filled with the results of completed experiments and other items to be brought back to Earth for analysis.